So you're thinking of listing your home in Denver, Colorado. In this video, we're going to share a specific transaction that we were involved with in Arvada. And we wanted to just let you know what goes into being a client of ours. We want you to know everything that selling a home entails and all the extra effort that is required in order to sell a home in the Denver market. So stay tuned for future videos. We'll get into this on the buy side and the sell side going forward, but this is just one example. So we're gonna get after it right now.
If this is your first time to our channel and you want to know everything there is to know about the current market in Denver, Colorado, make sure you subscribe below or tap the bell for notifications. Typically, we're here giving you just solid information about the Denver metro area, parts of town, what it would look like to live here, why you should move here, what there is to do here. But today we wanted to kind of focus a little bit on how it is we help our clients and what we do, kind of like what Cheryl had mentioned. So stick around, we're gonna get to it right now.
So here we are at a property that we recently sold in Arvada. We wanted to give you a little feel for what it actually takes to get a house on the market and get it sold at a great price. I think there's a lot of misinformation out there about how easy it is to sell a home. And we just wanted to give you some insight as to what that entails with this specific property.
Yeah. So this house was actually referred to us by a friend of mine, and it was a very unique situation, and sadly, it was a sad situation. Family member had died, and it was an estate situation. So the personal representative was my friend's family member, and so with that, when oftentimes when a family member passes away, there's the house left the way it is, and we all know how when we live in a house, it's not perfect every day, right? So there was a lot of stuff left in this house. The garage was full, and the house itself actually was pretty full. And so the family members had come in, kind of taken out what they wanted to take, and then they were kind of at a situation where, like, where do we go now? So they called us, and we came over, and basically we said, like, okay, we can go on the open market, but it's going to take a lot of work to get this house market ready. It needs to be cleared out. It needs to be cleaned. It needs to have a lot done to it, really, to make it market ready. And so with that, we said we do have another option. We have an extensive line of investors that will come in and that we work with regularly that will buy the house in as-is condition. So these family members had no idea of what the condition of the house was, as far as like the
HVAC and
the upkeep of it. They had no idea what this family member had done all these years with it. So, and when you sell a house, that's a big thing for a buyer when you're on the open market. They want to make sure that it's move-in ready. They want to make sure that it's all up to date. And so our investors, we reached out to this exclusive network of investors that we had and said, hey, come look at this house, see what you think. And our sellers had an idea of what they wanted for the price of this house. We had roughly 8 investors show up the first day, all within an hour's window. So our sellers were not impacted by having to be here for that. And basically the investors walked through and said, okay, we'll give it to you for X amount of price. Well, initially that price was not where our sellers wanted to sell this house.
Well, and all of the hours of research that we did to determine what a fair price would be for an investor or an open market
versus
price.
Going on the open market. But the time and money and everything spent that would have cost them to go on the market to get this house show ready, we educated them on what it took to get there. So we spent a lot of hours reaching out to these investors, talking to them, letting them know, like, here's what we have.
Educating them on the market, the neighborhood, recent sales.
Because even though they're investors and they should know everything there is to know about buying a house, they don't. They're all about their bottom line. Right. So it's a lot of work to educate them and let them know where this house should sell at the current condition that it's at.
Right.
So yes, it was less than had our sellers gone in and done a ton of time and energy and work to clear out this house. It's give and take. It's
Sure.
give and take.
Right.
So
what's your time worth? I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
it is 100%.
Yeah.
So we basically reached out to these investors, had them come. They came through, and their initial prices were not where our sellers were happy with. And so,
Round
okay,
two. We went to
that's
round
fine.
2 of investors.
Yeah, that's fine. So
Yeah.
what we did then is we reached out to more and educated them more and spent hours and hours on research and educating and what it would cost to clear it out versus what it would cost to sell it as is. And so with that, we were able to then work and get another investor to come in and buy it at the price that our sellers wanted to sell this for.
And that we determined was a fair price. I mean, after all the research we did, we weren't going to accept anything less.
So it was a fair price on both sides.
Right.
And we didn't exploit anybody to get that
Not
price.
at all. Not at all.
It was
fair.
about educating both sides as to where this property was and what it was worth. And so they came in, they made us an offer as is, no repairs needed. And as you can see from this house, it needs a lot of repairs. The inside, again, was full of tools. The garage itself was full of tools and lumber and just stuff that people have in their garage. And the
Yeah.
inside was full. Our sellers were great, and they donated to homeless shelters and charities, all the useful things, but there's a lot that's left in a home after somebody passes that's not usable. And so our sellers were able to sell this with all that stuff left in it to save them time, energy, and money, so they didn't have to clear it out, and they got the dollar price that they wanted. But on top of that, even after it was under contract, it took us a lot of time to talk to these sellers, get them in for inspections. They have every right to come in, these buyers
The
to
buyers,
come in.
investors, right?
Yes, the buyers and investors to come in and do their own inspections to make sure what they're getting is fair, right?
And it's a short window with an investor typically. It's
Right.
2 weeks in general, I would say.
Yeah,
2 to 3
yeah.
weeks.
I think these guys had 10 days. We rewrote it so they had 10 days so that our sellers knew that if this was going to fall apart, it would fall apart in 10 days and we had to restart over. But
Yeah.
we purposely wrote it that way so that they knew that give them 10 days, see what they wanted, and go from there. Ended up, it worked great, but there was a lot of phone calls at night on the weekends that we did to make sure that this stayed together. There was a lot of conversations about dollars spent on both sides of the deal to get us where we wanted to go. And so we're proud of the fact that we can come in, anybody can stick a sign in a yard and sell a house. You know, this market's changing a little bit. It's not that easy, but that's not what you get with us. And so we just wanted to kind of step out there and let you know that the market is changing. It is a process, and it is important because there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that protect our sellers. These guys never lived in this house. They didn't know what was wrong or right with the house. There's a lot that goes on with the wills. There was 2 people that actually had passed away in this house. One's almost a year ago, one a couple of months ago, but there's a lot of paperwork, a lot of probate that goes with that. And we had to step in and make sure all that was in line with the title company, with our sellers, to make sure that we could pass a clear title to the buyer and make sure that this deal closed, because there was multiple times that had those steps not been followed, this deal would have fallen apart. So
yeah, and thank heavens for our team of people that support us in this journey of home
Yes.
selling, because without them, it would be much more difficult. And they're very, very skilled. So we're blessed to have their support.
Yep. So our team, our expertise, our knowledge, you know, we've been doing this for a lot of years, and so that's why it's important, even regardless of what you hear out there in the news media, that the market's still hot in Denver. It is, but there's a lot of caveats that go with that.
Absolutely.
So make sure that if you have a house like this that needs work, or even if it's just a quote unquote normal house, so much behind the scenes that people don't understand. It's not as easy as that. And we want to make sure that you can sell your house with us and there's no hiccups, no problems. It's why you hire the experts. That's us.
That's us living in Denver, Colorado. See you next time.